And for more details over these incidents, we're very delighted to be joined over the phone with Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the journalist, the writer, and the political analyst. Good afternoon, Mr. Khoury.
Good afternoon, Dina.
How are you, sir? Following up over the situation between the U.S., the military confrontation, and Iran, they lately attacked or striked Iran, and that was because they warned them, according to their claims, they warned them of firing at the passers-by in Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, the ships sailing. Did that happen really? Did they fire at the ships that were passing?
I'm sorry, Dina, I didn't get the question because there is a problem with the line.
There is a problem with the sound?
There is a problem with the telephone, with the connection.
With the connection, yes.
Yeah, if you would just ask the question again.
Yes, of course. According to claims by the U.S. President, he said that they had warned Iran earlier against firing more drones over the ships attempting to transit the strait. And he claims that is why they attempted to strike Iran earlier.
Well, this is ongoing. So they warn Iran, Iran warns, and it's a dual game. At the end of the day, we are really hopeful that very soon there will be that MOU signed. It seems that maybe they're looking at Geneva. And if that is signed, that gives us 60 days to try to resolve all issues, because this is just an MOU, Dina. If that does not get signed, then we're going to see a lot of this threatening from both sides, and also continuous military action that is really not going to achieve anything for either side. The military solution is no solution. And this is very clear today to both sides. They understand, the Americans understand. This is why the Americans are hoping that this MOU will go through, because they know that it is impossible for them to be able to resolve it. If the MOU goes through, then Hormuz is going to be open. And traffic is going to move in both directions in a smooth manner. It seems that the Iranians have also accepted not to charge any fees for crossing Hormuz. So that original demand of the Iranians is no longer on the table, it seems, from all of the what is leaking out of this MOU agreement. But again, it's just an MOU agreement rather than, it's not a peace agreement. It is not something that is going to last forever. This is something that they're giving 60 days to achieve, Dina.
So the thing that distinguishes this particular halt of, or the cease of fire is that because this is an MOU and not a peace agreement. Because usually peace agreements are not respected, but MOUs has a little bit of mutual interest. Is that what you want to point out at? But it is temporary.
It is easier to drop an MOU than to drop a peace agreement that is fully recognized and fully established. Obviously, yes, there could be a peace agreement that is not respected, but an MOU is something that can actually, it's not binding, Dina. It's not binding. An MOU is not as binding as an actual long-term strategic peace agreement. But can it all break down? Of course it can break down. Because what are we worried about? International law? Attacking Iran from day one was against international law. A lot of what has happened, including the Iranians' closing of Hormuz, is against international law. When the Iranians came and started talking about charging fees, that's also against international law. The problem we are faced with today is that if you don't accept international law and this is not just about the Americans or Iranians, but also Israel. Israel doesn't accept international law. If you don't accept international law, then how are we going to resolve problems? And I'm not just talking about this problem that we're faced with today, which is the hostilities between Iran and the USA and Israel, but also future problems everywhere in the world. International law is the only thing that can guarantee a resolution to issues between countries. And unfortunately, what America has done with Israel from day one, from the attack, is to put international law in a garbage bin. They did that the minute that Israel started the genocide in Gaza and ethnic cleansing in Gaza. What Israel is doing in South Lebanon is totally against international law. What Israel is doing in terms of occupying Syrian land is against international law. So this is where the problem, Dina, is. If we do not have international law that is governing relations between states, and states have to respect international law, then we don't know what's going to happen, because it's all up to the whim of the leaders who may decide to start war again or may decide to carry out atrocities at their whim and for any purpose and any reason. And sometimes it's personal. When we listen to U.S. President Donald Trump making statements that are contradictory, sometimes he contradicts himself twice or three times a day. This is not typical diplomacy, and this is not typical leadership. Nobody can trust what is right from what is wrong. And it seems that there is a lot of personal elements that are playing a role, at least with Donald Trump. With Netanyahu, we know that he is running elections. He wants to win. He doesn't want to lose the popularity that he has in his own country. And therefore, it is also personal. Many times he goes to war in order to serve himself rather than serve his nation or his country, Dina.
Right, but then other observers would say that it has been so common and familiar now to the whole world that international law is something that has not been respected by different countries, and we have seen that in history with Israel, that did not ever respect even the court rulings at The Hague concerning Prime Minister Netanyahu, and also the ceasefire agreements that were taken by international summits and agreements taken between different countries to halt the fire in Gaza, for example. The same thing in the United States, those hostilities between both parts. Then with the change of the momentum, it would be much more effective if peace agreements would take a turn into a win-win situation, or business agreements, economic sanctions. Maybe that would be much more binding.
The logic is that the MOU is going to be signed. And why is it logical? Because this is to the interest and benefit of the aggressor, which is America that started the war. Not Israel, by the way, America. And this is very worrying because, Dina, Netanyahu has 60 days to derail the MOU and to ensure that America doesn't reach an agreement with Iran. And we've seen him do this before. But the MOU will be signed because this is to the benefit of the United States of America and to the benefit of Iran. So win-win, you're right. Win-win would work. So they'll sign the MOU, but then Netanyahu will put a lot of effort to derail it because Israel doesn't want to see a peace agreement between America and Iran. As for what you said on international law, you're 100% correct. Today, the United Nations has never been weaker than what it is today. The United Nations and all of its organizations are at their weakest point in history since the inception of the United Nations. And this also includes the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court. both courts seem not to have any teeth. They seem not to have any power. They seem that they are incapable of actually making any aggressor party pay for crimes committed. And with all honesty, the problem lies with the United States of America, because it is the protector of Israel that has committed genocide and committed all of these atrocities. Israel has impunity because America gives it impunity. And therefore, the problem has to be solved with America first. America is what weakened the United Nations and weakened international law. And there are Americans today who are asking the question, was all of this to the interest of the United States of America and the American people? Or was it in order to appease Israel and its action on behalf of Israel based on Israeli interests? It's a viable question, because we all have to ask, what is the United States getting out of all of this?
That's a very good question at the same time. But then again, since you have smartly and kindly pointed to the status of the United States and its image and its leverage and its political gravity right now, some political analysts say that in the last a few years, with all those incidents and hostilities and supporting genocidal acts in Israel and all that, the United States as an administration is losing a lot of ground, and probably is not being supported politically and probably culturally by almost world countries. And as an evidence for that is that more than 150 countries have made it to recognize Palestine as an official state on the hands of the United States and Israel themselves. So how do you assess the status of the United States lately, and if it is relapsing somehow before international community?
After the American elections, Donald Trump came back to power, and all of the actions that have been done since then, including this war that we're seeing today and we're discussing right now, countries have to wonder, do they still find benefit in the leadership of the United States of America? Can they depend on the United States of America to protect them? Is it their interest to have economies that are based and reliant on the US dollar? All of these questions now are on the table, Dina. And this is very dangerous for the United States of America. Even the closest allies of America are asking these questions and are looking at other options. And look at Europe, look at Canada, look at Mexico. And these countries are all communicating with China. All of them are looking at how to relieve themselves from the US dollar and how to be able to have an independent economy that is not affected by American decision making. So what Trump has done is, first of all, weakened in a dramatic way the reliance of the best allies of the United States on the American economy and on the American military and America's protection or supposed protection now, because we now know that many countries don't see, they see America as the problem rather than America as the protector.
Right. Earlier, Israel has warned of imminent strikes against South Lebanon, and they even asked residents of more than 20 towns and villages, including many near Nabateeh city, to evacuate, despite the ceasefire with the Hezbollah group. So how do you read that warning made by Israel, and what does it implicate?
uh, Israel is going to accelerate military operations in the south of Lebanon just in case Donald Trump is going to order them to cease, to act to an actual ceasefire. So they will try now to achieve as much as possible as soon as possible. And that's exactly what they do every single time a peace treaty is on the table. And, but unfortunately, Dina, with Israel, a ceasefire means that the other party cannot shoot at us. But we are able to shoot at the other party at our whim and whenever we decide we want to do that under the pretext of Israel has the right to self-defense, even self-defense against what has not happened. So Israel can claim that we found danger in Nabatiyah or in Sur or in this town or that town or on the border or in a house, and therefore we bombed it in order to protect ourselves. So this business of Israel protecting itself is now recognized by everybody as a farce. It doesn't make sense. They are still protecting themselves in Gaza and killing people in Gaza almost on a daily basis. And all of these people who are dying are civilians who cannot actually harm Israel or have the power to harm Israel. So Israel gives itself rights that are way beyond any ceasefire agreement. A ceasefire agreement between two nations or more is when these nations no longer shoot at each other. Israel thinks that a ceasefire stops the other nation from shooting at them, but they will continue shooting. And Hezbollah made it very clear that the minute that Israel shoots a bullet during a ceasefire, Hezbollah is going to retaliate. Because of this, because everybody knows that Israel is actually not protecting itself. Israel is an aggressor. And but yes, there could be, the memorandum could actually be signed, and despite Iran's demand that there would be a real and true ceasefire in Lebanon, including the south of Lebanon, doesn't mean that Israel is going to abide by this. And just to remind everyone, Dina, immediately Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, came out and said that this memorandum of understanding has nothing to do with Israel and we don't abide by it. It's something that is going on between the United States and Iran. And why he made that statement is to make it very clear that he is not going to be abiding by any ceasefire.
Right, but then international community immediately is going to ask the usual question after every round of violation, with all the reasons that would give Israel to strike and to even justify its strikes against countries' innocent civilians. Still, the international community and the whole world would ask, then are these strikes, these hostilities against southern Lebanon or whatever, how will it comply with any memorandum of understanding or a peace agreement in the same context of a war between U.S. and Iran?
Israel is not a signatory to such an agreement anyway. It's the Iranians and the Americans who will sign it. But we all know that if Donald Trump picks up the phone and demands something from Netanyahu, and he does that forcefully, and giving Netanyahu the impression that he won't get away with carrying out an action, then Netanyahu complies. We all know this. Because Israel is totally dependent on the USA for its weapons, for its even its economy, because of the U.S. aid that Israel gets in a very big way. And therefore, Israel is totally dependent on America. Israel won't attack Iran unless the Americans are there fighting the war with them. Why? Because America is the one that protects Israel, even on the military front. And therefore, the only way we're going to see Israel comply is when Donald Trump picks up the phone and tells Netanyahu to comply. And if that doesn't happen, then we shouldn't expect Israel to comply with anything. Israel will do whatever it fancies because it feels that it has impunity and it doesn't pay a price.
Right, on that note, of course, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the journalist, the writer, and political thinker, would like to thank you so much talking to Arab Affairs, and you have a good afternoon.